your local hometown station and the home of the Breads and Phillies, WCYN, 1400 AM and 101.3 FM.
It's Tuesday, June 30th, and you're tuning into Coffee Break here on WCYN's 1400 AM and 101.3 FM. Today's show is being brought to you by Hinton Mills, Sorrel Home Medical, Colorado Center, and the Kentucky Broadcaster Association. Now let's take a morning to our host. It's Doug Miller.
And good morning, everyone. Welcome to Coffee Break. Already 76 degrees. It just rolled over. Yeah, folks, the heat is on. Yes, it is, and it's going to remain on for a while, right, Jake?
That's right. Sorry,
No.
I was turning the video down.
Now, you have on one of those shirts that have the liquid going through it to, air conditions your body like the astronauts wear. Is that what you're wearing this morning?
I wish I had one of those yesterday, I'll tell you that.
You run ice water through that, it'll cool you right down, Jake. I wore my Reds hat today. Maybe they'll win a ball game if I were, I was going to wear my U of L hat today, but Molly Smith is on the show, and
I am.
I didn't want to offend Molly. How you doing this morning, Molly?
Good morning.
As always, hey, it's Harrison Memorial Hospital Day on Coffee Break once again, and we always appreciate the physicians, nurses, and medical providers and technicians that come and share their wealth of information with us on Coffee Break, along with Molly. And today, from the Republic of Chile, ladies and gentlemen, she's a native of that land. Dr. Maria Pervez. Good morning, Dr. Pervez. Nice to have you back. It's been too long.
Good morning. Thanks a lot for having us.
Yeah, get on that mic a little bit closer, Doctor, so Jake can hear you in there.
I see.
Yes, there you go.
I can practice my Kentucky accent better with this.
Yes. Are you saying y'all and ain't yet? Or
Kind of.
Kind of?
I have 3 kids. They're Kentucky kids.
We're more comfortable around here with a doctor that can say ain't every now and then,
I'm going to practice that more.
We like to hear you say, you ain't that bad off. Along with Dr. Pervez is a sleep disorders nurse practitioner, Erica Ezel. Good morning, Erica.
Good morning.
And last but never ever least, Mary Beth Hopkins is here, and she's the Harrison Memorial Hospital Neurology Office Coordinator. Good morning.
Good morning.
And I'll tell you to swallow the mic too there, by the way. You're soft-spoken, okay? Molly, can you do anything with these people? Get them on the microphone.
We're good. We're here. That's what matters the most.
Now, we're going to talk about sleep disorder today, and I know that you, the first thing I'll say that I'm right about is that you'll agree with me, Doctor, that sleep is very important to our overall health, right?
Absolutely. Actually, the American Academy of Cardiology mentioned sleep, like, good sleep time, good hygiene, to go to sleep at night as one of the main factors, to prevent cardiovascular disease.
Yeah. Now, ladies, you all join in at will today and at appropriate times, okay? Because you all been here before with me. I don't want to leave anything out. But Dr. Pervez, I know we've gone through this before, okay? But I'll pretend we're taking your deposition and kind of go through your CV here a little bit, all right? As I mentioned, you're a native of the Republic of Chile. You lived in Peru, didn't you?
Yes, my dad is from Peru, and I went to medical school in Peru as well.
Yeah, because I remember we were talking about you have been to Machu Picchu.
Oh, several times.
Am I saying that right? Is that the way they say it in the...
Yes, Machu Picchu.
Yeah, amazing, really.
Amazing. It's over 5,000 meters over the sea level.
Yeah.
And I did that twice, packing. You can go on train as well.
Yeah.
But my dad is like an avid hiker, then, tortured us every so many years, with those hiking in the middle of nowhere.
And it's right straight up the side of a mountain, and the weather could be like this today.
It's very unusual because you are 5,000 meters over the sea level, like in Colorado, and then, in an hour you can be on the rainforest.
Yeah.
Then it's very unusual.
Yeah. Well, so much for the travel log. I could talk to you about that forever. The aliens didn't make the place, though, right?
Well, I hope not. I haven't seen anyone. The Incas were, humans, I hope.
Yeah, I think they were of this earth, yes. Crazy stuff on television.
But talking about that, I saw a documentary, 2 weeks ago about ovnis over Brazil, which I don't think that is,
Well, there's supposed to be a hotbed for down in that part of the world for aliens. I don't know. They like it down there.
Hopefully not. I like humans better.
You like humans better, yeah. We don't know what kind of brain they have anyway for you to work on, Doctor.
They seem to have a larger one.
Yes, they all have the big heads.
According to the
Yes,
pictures, yeah.
they have the big heads.
According to the
Yes. But now, in Chile, where you grew up, what town in Chile did you grow up in?
Main city,
Now,
Santiago.
is your education there early on much like it is here? I mean, you have high school and all that, or
Yeah, I mean, we have 12 hours of, typical education, elementary, middle school and high school. And I didn't finish, high school in Chile because my family used to move to different countries every few years. And I finished my high school in Peru.
In Peru.
Then I was able to take some courses kind of the equivalent online, then I was able to graduate very early and able to go to medical school early. That way I can say I've been a doctor for almost 40 years.
Yeah, well, that's the life and training and education of a physician. You don't get after it till you're 35 if you're lucky.
That's right.
People don't always realize that, but that's the truth. Now, and you went to med school in Peru.
Yes,
Yeah,
I graduated from Peru, but because my family used to move, as I said before, I have to go to 2 different countries for med school.
Yeah.
And I always have to clarify to everyone, that it's not like they kicked me out of med school. It's
Yeah.
because my family moved and I went to med school when I was 15.
Well, I'm
Then
going to get real personal. Why did your parents move around so much?
my dad at the time was working for the United Nations.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then, he went back to Peru, then to
Yeah.
be involved in politics and things like that.
I see. Well, interesting life, though, really. Or did you get tired of being moved around when you were a kid?
No, I need to get used sometimes to be in the same place for longer than 2 years.
It'd be nice. You meet a friend and you say so long to a friend.
Right,
Right?
but actually in Kentucky it was very easy to get used to be here.
Well,
I've
that
been
brings
here
me-
for longer than 20 years.
Well, yeah, you've been here for a while.
Yes, I have 3 Kentucky kids at home.
Yeah, they're Kentucky kids, and they probably talk like us, right?
Actually, they have a heavy, accent.
Well, that's because they've been around their mom so much.
Well, no, my babysitter, my right hand for many years was from Ashland, Kentucky.
Oh, really?
And they have that accent. One of them play banjo, and actually, other than he looked like me
Yeah.
with your accent, or Ashland accent, then you don't realize that he's an American citizen.
Yeah, yeah.
Very proud. He's my army guy.
I'm assuming that you've taken your kids back to the home country.
Yes,
Yeah.
in that way they're bilingual, then
Yeah.
we try to take them at least 1 or 2 every 2 years,
Yeah.
then after a few days there, they lose the gringo accent,
Yeah.
and then they
Get
they
rid of that
come up
gringo
with-
talk, yeah.
Right, then take them, 2 or 3 days, and then they're back to,
That's a valuable thing to be bilingual. It really is. I would think,
Yeah, I think that, they're able to communicate with a lot of people. Like, one of my kids is, as I said before, army guy, then there's a lot of, recruiters that they need help sometimes with the language skills, things like that. The other one is a doctor at UK, and then he doesn't need a translator when he sees patients, from another country. So actually, he's learning Wasili or something like that, and he can introduce himself in 2 or 3 different languages.
Yeah.
But that's stop there. Then, I hope that people doesn't believe that he is fluent in all those languages.
One last question on your background. Don't worry, I'm not going to do this to you other two, because I think we've done this. How did you end up in Kentucky?
Wow, that's I'm going to give you, the short history of it, but I did my training at UK.
Oh, okay.
So I did internal medicine, and then I changed, path to neurology. And then I have 2 choices, either, try to stay here, or go back to South America. But Peru was in the middle of a civil war.
Yeah.
And it was a really tough experience for me and my first son that was born in Peru. Then that was one of the reasons that we ended up leaving
They were
the
having a
country.
conflict down there at the time,
It
right?
was a civil
It
war,
wasn't a nice
basically,
place to be.
with
yeah.
terrorism,
Yeah.
China impact, really, really, really bad. Then I thought, I cannot go back there. At that time I had my middle one, my army guy, that was an American citizen. Then going back to a place like that with 2 kind of American citizens in
Yeah.
the middle of the Civil War was not a good idea.
No.
And then I had the opportunity to be part of a program where, the University of Kentucky was placing doctors in rural areas, the
Yeah.
underserved areas. But I have to go back to family medicine.
Yeah.
I was a family doctor for 3 years.
Oh, really?
And,
Yeah.
and I love it. And then that allowed me to, change my visa status,
I see.
from
Oh,
visiting
okay.
or training doctor, that was supposed to go back to their, their own countries to stay here in the States.
Yeah.
And then because after 3 years as a family doctor, my neurology skills were probably, very minimal. I have to go back to UK for a fellowship.
I see,
Yeah.
yeah. So you had to do some continuing
And
education.
then
yeah.
I moved to, I was working for Ephraim McDowell,
Oh,
Regional
okay.
Medical Center in Danville. I went back to Danville to work as a part-time neurology, part-time still family practice doctor, and then went back to UK for the fellowship. And after several years in Danville, private practice, and coming here as a part-time doctor for the sleep clinic, the previous, CEO, Sheila Correns, which is an amazing person, convinced me with Molly to do neurology as well.
So you're a neurologist.
then,
To do it
and
full
then-
time.
Full time, yeah.
It's a full-time neurology and a sleep doctor, and then I have here on the left, my right hand though, is Beth, who was here, with me from day one, and helped me to survive the transition, and make my life very easy.
Yeah.
And then you said that Beth was our manager, but Beth is far more than our manager.
Yeah, yeah.
She has different hats, against her will, but she's also our NCV EMG technician, which is, I'm very proud of her, very, very proud of her. Even though she did the training against her will, then.
Beth, what do you do in an average day in Dr. Pervez's office? Tell us what your life is.
A little bit of everything.
Yeah.
From scheduling patients to rooming patients and doing their intake, getting their history, presenting the patient to the provider. I also try to manage the workflow, answering phone calls. Also, like she said, I do all of the neurodiagnostics as far as like the nerve studies. So, patients that come in with numbness and tingling and weakness and pain, the referring providers will send them to me to actually do the nerve study. And what I'm doing is, I'm checking like the outer covering of the nerve, like the insulation for the nerve, to make sure it's intact with no damage.
Yeah.
To find out, is there something that's preventing that nerve from getting from point A to point B and back?
And Erica Ezel, of course, is a nurse practitioner. Erica, tell us your role and what you do in a day at the office of Dr. Pervez.
To see patients.
Yeah, what an answer.
She's my other right hand,
I
really.
think she's like some of these witnesses in court. Yes, no, I don't know. No, but as a nurse practitioner, I mean, actually, you're working with the doctor, with the patients, and I guess the screening and history and all that, which is very important, right?
Erica has been a great asset to practice, because we were getting overwhelmed and the waiting time to see patients was getting very long,
Yeah.
and the hospital was getting very anxious, and Molly was probably having, some phone calls, trying to put patients in, on a heavy schedule. Then having Erica with us has been a blessing. She comes from a background that is difficult to, compete with. She has experience in cardiology, family practice, and the top of that is a fast learner. And, the way that he communicates with the patients and present the cases is amazing. It's like my resident, third year resident in neurology.
Well, the thing about a nurse practitioner, and really most nurses in their career, if they've had a very long career, they've been everywhere, haven't you, Erica? From the ER to the floor and the specialty clinics, you've seen a little bit of everything, right?
Yes,
Which is helpful in all
Especially
respects.
working in a rural hospital, you get experience in everything.
Yeah, yeah. Dr. Pervez, well, we just got 2 or 3 more minutes here, but sleep disorder basically as a target of medical specialty, okay? To someone as old as me, we've always had doctors and medical practitioners say, get a good night's rest, okay? And 8 hours used to be the thing and all that. But in recent years, it seems like there's been more of a concentration with sleep disorder clinics that weren't available before. And I think that we had the malady before we had the therapy, if that makes any sense. Now we've got both, and that's why your clinic is overrun sometimes,
That's
right? Yeah.
And we truly believe that the cornerstone of having our patient healthy, away from doctors and medication, that's the main goal, is have them healthy. And, sleep is like one of the pillars of a healthy lifestyle, right? Then it's your nutrition, your exercise, your hydration, your sleep, and trying to be happy, as the Constitution of the country says, then the right to pursue happiness and not fight with the neighbors, that's very important.
Dr. Maria Pavez, along with nurse practitioner Erica Ezel, and the office coordinator for the Harrison Memorial Hospital Neurology Specialty Clinic is Mary Beth Hopkins. They're all three with you and me on Coffee Break this morning, and along with Molly. Good morning again, Molly.
Good morning.
I had that U of L hat in my hand, and I said, no, wait, Molly's on the show this morning. So now,
I taught you so well.
I know. When we come back, we'll talk, Molly, really about what we're here to talk about, sleep disorders,
Exactly.
okay? With a specialist who deals with the greatest computer yet made, the human brain, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back with you and them on Coffee Break right after this.
The team at Hinton Mills loves dogs, ours and yours. Our popular Farm Dog Friday promotion is going on each Friday in June. We hope you'll participate by posting a picture of your farm dog in the comments of our weekly Farm Dog Friday Facebook post. You'll have the opportunity to vote for your favorite farm dogs by liking those pictures. The winner each week will win a free bag of dog food. We look forward to celebrating farm dogs the entire month of June. And remember to see Hinton Mills for the dog food your dogs love and the prices you appreciate.
Saturday, July 25th. It's Cynthiana Bike Fest, presented by Man O' War Harley Davidson in Lexington. It's a fun-filled day full of bikes, music, family, and fun. All in downtown Cynthiana. Live music all day, a free kids zone, kids power wheel races, a sound system competition, and pro wrestling to round out the day. Registration begins at 10 a.m. Cynthiana Bike Fest, Saturday, July 25th, downtown Cynthiana.
Paying for your student's college can feel overwhelming. Scholarships and grants help, but they might not cover everything. With competitive low interest rates and no application or other fees, the Kentucky Advantage Parent Loan offers a smooth and affordable solution. Owned and managed by a state-based nonprofit lender, we're committed to helping families like yours. Apply today and take the next step in supporting their dreams. Visit KentuckyAdvantageLoan.com or call 800-988-6333 to learn more.
This message is brought to you by the Kentucky Broadcasters Association and this station.
Free parking? Yeah, right.
Dad, I got a drink.
Whoa. What?
Sunscreen's free too.
Yeah, right.
This was the best day ever.
Yeah, you're right.
At Holiday World and Splash and Safari, sure, there are a lot of free things. And somehow, that's not even the best part. See it for yourself at holidayworld.com.
If you have a comment or a suggestion for an upcoming Coffee Break program, call 234-1400 or send us a message at the Coffee Break page on our website at WCYN.com.
And you are right back with the second quarter of Coffee Break. Now, ladies, we've already informed you a bit of a new take. And Molly wanted this because she wanted more FaceTime. So we're now on video.
Yes.
At her request.
My request?
Yes.
No.
Facebook, YouTube, something called an app, I think. We're on the app too.
Mm-hmm.
But no, if you have a question or comment, the doctor is in. As I always say when they're here, no copay, no insurance required. 859-234-1400 if you have a question, comment, or greeting for our guest, Dr. Maria Pavez, nurse practitioner Erica Ezel, and the office coordinator Mary Beth Hopkins. And I told Molly that I'd get on script and talk about sleep disorder,
Well,
but I'm
first,
not going to yet. Go ahead,
I do
Molly.
want to
I'm
mention
sorry, yeah.
that Erica joined the practice with the neurology and sleep disorder back in March, and she is
Okay.
now full-time in that practice to see patients, and she's seeing mainly follow-up, but some initial patients as well, especially in the sleep studies area.
Okay. So we may see Erica first.
Mm-hmm.
There you
To
go.
kind of do that initial evaluation.
Yeah. But before we get to the topic that you're here about, Molly will tell you I digress. That's my middle name. But you just mentioned something that just hit me. I don't know if the people were watching on the video or not, but during the break, I got up and got me my morning fix. And that's what it is, a fix, doctor, of coffee.
I'm a coffee drinker myself.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that. But you made a comment. You know, we're always wondering. A lot of people drink a lot of coffee, and we're always wondering is it good or bad for us, especially our brain health. And what was the comment you made about coffee a moment ago?
Caffeine, is can be protective for some neurodegenerative diseases like Parkinson's disease.
Oh, yeah.
We don't really know about the mechanism of action behind that, but there's a lot of studies that shows that if you drink coffee on a regular basis, not a lot, everything in excess is not good for you, that if you drink coffee on a regular basis, it seems to have a protective effect, against Parkinson's disease.
Yeah.
It can also help people with, too much sleepiness, like if you are working night, things like that. Coffee help you, to, be more alert and awake.
Yeah, Parkinson's and the other maladies that affect our cognitive abilities cause dementia and things. I know, way back when, I guess before they really named them and addressed them, we all had hardening of the arteries, is what we used to say around here. Old people would have hardening of the arteries, and, the symptoms were there just as much. That's not anything new. It's just that it's being addressed better now. And are they approaching those things from more of a therapeutic side to handle the symptoms, or is there any inroads into what we lay people like to say a cure, doctor?
Unfortunately, we don't have a cure for dementia, but we can modify the risk factor for the people to end up with dementia.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go back to the basic of, healthy lifestyle. Then, healthy lifestyle, starting with nutrition, hydration, exercise, sleep, and, a happy life, a peaceful life, seem to have a protective effect against, dementia, to the point that people with family tendency to have dementia, but healthy lifestyle, they seem to have less dementia incidence than people who doesn't have the family history of dementia, but they really have a really bad lifestyle, like going to McDonald's, every day, not exercise, gaining weight, sleep issues, and depression. They seem to have a high risk of, dementia.
And as folks get older and retire and whatever, you hear the lay person's member says, well, keep your mind busy. Keep doing. Is there something to that?
Absolutely.
Oh, really? Okay.
If you keep your mind busy with any sort of mental exercise or social interaction, you cannot create more cells in your brain, but you can create better connections with the cell that you have, and that strengthens your memory.
Yeah. Now we'll talk about sleep. How about that?
That's right. That's right. I love sleep. Yeah.
Is the mantra still 8 hours of sleep, which very few people probably get?
Right. I mean, modern societies, because the demands of a modern society to produce, then you spend far less than 8 hours sleeping, to a point that more than 20% of the total population is usually sleep deprived, and that increases chances for dementia, and other cardiovascular, risk factors as well.
Yeah.
Then typical amount of sleep that is recommended, 7 to 8 hours in an adult, and children's, they need far more sleep than an adult.
So because of that in our lifestyle, most of us, I would say, are sleep deprived to the extent that we don't get the 7 or 8 hours a night. But when does sleep deprivation slip into what you call a sleep disorder that needs some treatment therapy, and how do we know when we have that, doctor, rather than just being too tired?
Well, sleep disorder is anything that can affect, your sleep, including, sleep deprivation is considered a sleep disorder.
That's part of it, okay.
Right, and the treatment for that is really easy, right? Try to sleep longer, and that is really important, even though we don't pay a lot of attention to it, because the brain has like a sewer system that work at night. To get rid of everything that is, damaging the brain and memory centers. It's called
reboot our brain at night, kind of?
Yes, and actually you clean your brain if you want, through this sewer system. It's called lymphatic system, where you get rid of proteins and things that you don't want to build up in memory centers, something called amyloid, tau protein, things like that are toxins for the brain. Then if you don't sleep enough, that lymphatic system or your sewer system is working part-time, and then, that damage the memory, right? And other sleep disorder that we tend to see quite frequently is sleep apnea, insomnia, nightmares, vivid dreams, people who end up acting up the dreams at night, it's called REM behavior disorder, and, a lot of other conditions as well. But those seem to be the most prominent ones. The excessive sleepiness that is pathological, that is really bad, really severe, is called narcolepsy. We don't see a lot of those patients, but, at least 2 or 3 times a year we have a patient with truly narcolepsy.
Yeah. And narcolepsy, I mean, that's just you don't sleep, right?
Actually, it's excessive sleepiness.
No, that's sleeping too much. I had the word reversed. Excuse me.
That's right.
Yeah.
And there are different type of narcolepsy. The type 1 is narcolepsy with what we call cataplexy, with strong emotions, usually good emotion. People just end up falling. They lose the muscle tone. They don't go unconscious, but they end up falling.
Yeah.
And sometimes they have head drop, or, droopy eyelids, then in addition to that, they're extremely sleepy.
Well, when I used the term I was reaching for was insomnia,
which
is you can't sleep.
Right.
And talk about that.
Well, insomnia is, really difficult to treat because there are so many factors for insomnia, right? Starting with, lifestyle, people using the computers until, midnight trying to go to sleep. The light suppress melatonin, which is something that your brain needs to go to sleep. Then basically it's provoke insomnia. Then you have people with depression who, cannot go to sleep. People with bipolar disorder who tend to have racing thoughts, and get very anxious, and, before to go to sleep. People with a sleep apnea or any condition that can affect your sleep pattern through the night, then the brain seems to be, afraid to go to sleep because something bad is going to happen. Like with the sleep apnea, you quit breathing. Then those patients may also develop, insomnia in the top of, the other sleep pathologies.
I'm going to pick on Erica a moment.
Sure.
And sleep apnea that the doctor's talking about, Erica, dangerous. You just quit breathing. If I come to you and I don't really know what's wrong with me and I'm saying I'm not sleeping well, blah, blah, and you start taking my history, what are symptoms that I may tell you that would trigger you to think, hey, there's a possible diagnosis of sleep apnea here?
Snoring is the number one.
Oh, really?
It
Snoring?
is, yes. And then stuff like poor concentration, not feeling rested after sleeping all night, just being overall fatigued even though you sleep 8 hours.
Yeah. A lot of people are using these devices now, Doctor and Erica, the CPAPs and things of that nature. That's, I guess, a remedy toward sleep apnea. Am I right about that? What does that do exactly?
Well, there are different types of sleep apnea, and, CPAP, that stands for continuous positive airway pressure, that is a lot of wording there, but, what we try to explain to the patients, that is is like an air compressor. Then people with sleep apnea, because they change position and you disengage when you go to sleep, you collapse, the back of the throat, which is the entrance to the pipe that goes into the lungs. Then, it's like obstruction, to the flow of air. Then we have to open that, we need a splint to open that airway, right? And then for that, we use, an air compressor, which is a CPAP or BiPAP. There are different type of, treatment for that, and the main difference is the way that they deliver the air pressure. Then you don't get more oxygen, you just get the air that we normally breathe, but unfortunately the room air does not have enough pressure to prevent those patients from close in the back of the throat. And then we need that air compressor that pick up the room air, put pressure on it, and deliver that to the patient with more pressure, to prevent the closing of the back door. Right, then that's open, and the patient sleep and breathe, and the brain can go to rest, and then they reduce the risk factor for heart attacks, dementia, stroke, memory issues, depression, weight gain, diabetes, and so on. Then because the sleep apnea seems to be linked to all those other conditions that the patient end up collecting a bunch of medications and doctors. Then treating sleep, we can get rid of doctors and medications.
Some people can get off the pills if they sleep
absolutely,
better.
Absolutely.
And so the CPAP basically just makes us breathe properly, or
basically, look at that as like the air compressor, then open up the door that is closing.
Can you blow up a tractor tire with one of those things?
Potentially, yes, but
or
you may
soccer
need
ball where you're from.
You may need a big window,
But some people have a difficult time getting used to it and all that. But I think most of your patients, if they get to the point where they handle it well and they get used to it, Erica, they report a good result from that,
Absolutely.
don't they?
They
feel better.
More rested. They have better concentration.
Yeah.
Just overall feel well.
Am I doing better? Understand with the program, Molly?
You're doing good.
Thank you.
Yes.
If they have a good coaching, session, at the time that they get the CPAP or the BiPAP, they seem to be doing really well. But if they are contacted by a company who ships a piece of equipment to them with instruction, no one tell them anything about, what's going on, the failure rate is really high versus, if you have someone really teaching the patient, easing up their mind about, what's going on, how to deal with the CPAP, fitting, the equipment well, they seem to be doing really, really well.
Well, it's better than having a heart attack and having a heart-lung machine help you breathe, right?
Yeah. Right. It's equivalent. It's equivalent of if you need a pair of shoes to protect your, feet. You really have to go and fit them. Then you have to walk on them, being comfy with it. Then if you ask Amazon to ship one, lucky if they fit you well or not, right? Then you are better off going there to the shoe store, get what you need, try them on, and then be happy with it.
The problem with you, doctor, is our dates are never long enough. I can never get through. I'd like to talk to you all day long. And the lady I'm talking with is Dr. Maria Pervez. With her on Coffee Break, nurse practitioner Erica Ezel, and the office coordinator for that office at Harrison Memorial, Mary Beth Hopkins. And Molly is here with us, and you're here with us, and we're all on video and looking good. And we'll keep doing that. It's halftime.
Another musical blast from the past from Sorrel Home Medical Equipment.
I heard you totaled your car.
I sure did, and I walked away without a scratch. I guess God was riding with me.
Remind me not to ride with you anymore.
Why?
'Cause he's probably not riding with you anymore either.
Sorrel Home Medical Equipment, serving you on West Pleasant Street in Cynthiana, phone 234-4441.
The skies are calling. Introducing Flying Fox, taking flight this spring only at Kentucky Kingdom. Strap in and soar on Kentucky's newest suspended coaster. Flying Fox climbs over 6 stories high, taking you higher, faster, bolder. Bring the whole family to enjoy it all, including the new Discovery Meadow. This summer on the all-new Flying Fox, only at Kentucky Kingdom Theme and Water Park.
24/7, I crave the 8, 'cause the ale never fails. I can't wait to pop a top on one, so don't hesitate. You gotta go full throttle for the green glass bottle. Pop a top on fun. Grab an ale 8-1. Gotta grab the one. Drink an ale 8-1. Pop a top on fun. Grab an ale 8-1. Gotta grab the one.
Looking to make your big celebration unforgettable? Or maybe you're a crafting pro, ready to create something amazing. At Printed Vinyl for You, we're here to bring your ideas to life. From custom gifts that wowed at birthdays, anniversaries, and graduations, to a crafter's paradise packed with heat transfer vinyl, blank shirts, sublimation supplies, and more. If you can dream it, we can help you create it. Come visit us at 137 East Pike Street in Cynthiana. Printed Vinyl for You, where creativity comes to life.
If you have a comment or a suggestion for an upcoming Coffee Break program, call 234-1400 or send us a message at the Coffee Break page on our website at WCYN.com.
You're back with us on Coffee Break, ladies and gentlemen. I'm holding in my hand the current edition of the City Buzz magazine. Right there it is. And on the front, it is America's 250th anniversary, ladies and gentlemen. And as always, we celebrate all anniversaries of our United States of America on July the 4th. This year, our event at Flat Run Veterans Park, the great fireworks display, food, games, and music by the one and only Sam L. Smith, ladies and gentlemen, will be there. Once again, thanks to our Cynthiana Rotary Club, and the 4th of July event will be on July 4th this year, the actual day, at Flat Run Veterans Park. That starts at 6:30, and the fireworks will take place at dusk. And as the doctor says, this coffee is good for you. This is really this came from the pharmacy down there beside the Presbyterian Church. It's called the Main Cup.
Good.
It's good stuff. It's Nate's coffee, and Nate makes good coffee, doctor. But no, we want to thank them for the coffee that we enjoy here on Coffee Break. And we're in the middle of summer of winning 26. And hey, today our featured good friend, sponsor, and advertiser is Printed Vinyl for You. They're not a morning business. And Jake, do you have a name, a winner's name for us?
I do. Today's winner is Diane Kinney.
Diane Kinney. Hey, Diane, congratulations. Your trip to visit Printed Vinyl has paid off. And do you want me to read what we have for Diane, or do you have it in there, Jake?
I can do it.
Do it, Jake.
She is winning a 6-pack of L8, a jar of either regular or spicy L8 salsa, a $10 gift card to Snappy, a $10 gift card to Tropical Ice, and a WCYN t-shirt.
There you go. And hey, at the end of the week, tickets to Kentucky Kingdom, is that right?
Yes, at the end of the week we will draw for those.
There you go.
Family
That's next week. It's the end of this week.
End of this week, I believe.
Yeah, we put the winners in the batch, and then we draw one of them out, and they get not 1, 2, 3, but 4. A family pack, 4-family pack of tickets to Kentucky Kingdom, a nice amusement park right there on the grounds of the Louisville Exposition Center. And Molly, what have you got? You got some things to tell us about?
Actually, I don't have any announcements as far as like upcoming events, because we typically sometimes take July off a little bit in that regards, but I do want to mention that we had 11 different seminars / events last month in June. It's the end of the month. It'll be July tomorrow. So I just want to take time to just thank those that we were part of those events throughout the month, and we're pretty proud of what we've accomplished in that with the health fairs and 3M health fairs and much different screenings that went on there as well. And Erica and Mary Beth were part of those events too. So also I just want to mention that if you're wanting to make an appointment, it's 859-235-3629 is the phone number. And the office moved since we've last been on, because we discovered that was 4 years ago. So the office is now located at East Pleasant Street at 439 East Pleasant Street, which is located where HMH Primary Care Pleasant was, but before that was Dr. Stevens' office. So that's kind of how everybody still references that in this town. So that is where they're located with Ears, Nose, and Throat Clinic. And then I also want to commend this group, along with Mary Beth Slade and the Respiratory Department, for their Accreditation Commission for Healthcare Sleep Accreditation this past month. Actually, it was last Thursday, and they passed with no issues and no deficiencies for the sleep lab. So we're very, very excited to announce that and be promoting that as well. So, and Dr. Maria Pavez is part of that accreditation process too.
Good deal. Good deal.
I would like to say that the brain behind that operation was really Mary Beth Slade, which is a sleep center coordinator. And she's my other right hand. I have like an octopus, multiple hands, and I will not be able to run the sleep program with the support of Mary Beth.
Well, we want you to have as many legs and arms and legs as you need.
I feel like an octopus.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, 8-legged octopus.
But it really is. It's intense, but there's a lot that goes into that to keeping those information and giving that to those who are surveying and making sure those studies are all together. And like I said, no deficiencies is pretty impressive.
Now, this is an important announcement, ladies and gentlemen. Just during the show today, the temperature's gone up about 4 degrees. It's now 79, 80 degrees out there. And I know the doctor will agree with me that the heat can hurt you, right, doctor?
That right, can give you a heat stroke.
Yeah, heat stroke. Hey, folks, we have a Harrison County Senior Citizen Center. It is located at 216 Old Lair Road. If you're listening to me, you probably know where that is. But 216 Old Lair Road is the Harrison County Senior Citizen Center, and they are providing a cooling station. And that's from 8 a.m. in the morning to 4 p.m. And that's going to be in operation today, tomorrow, and Thursday. I think Thursday we're supposed to have a bit of ease. Now the text line.
I think it's Friday. I think Thursday's the highest date.
Is that the highest date?
Degrees,
yeah. But no, if you are, don't let the heat hurt you.
Stay hydrated.
Stay hydrated.
Stay hydrated.
Drink a lot of water. Okay. Now, Doctor, I mentioned the text line 859-234-1400 is always open, and we got a lot of things to talk about, but I always give it priority, okay? Because we appreciate our listeners and our watchers, by the way. Can't get used to that. But no, we have a text here, and this is a long one, but I'm going to read it all, okay? Textor says, Dr. Pavez has been such an amazing addition to our community here in Cynthiana. She's personable, thorough, and kind. She's put so many of my and many other patients' minds at ease and improved their general well-being. Excited for Erica as well. says, thank you all for the co-managing and the referrals, Erica and Mary Beth. And that's from one of your local eye doctors. You all probably know who that is.
Probably.
Yes.
You know, there you go. Then we have, let me see here. Bear with me, ladies, because computer technology, operation of a computer is my... Okay, C.J. Clifford, who is my remote co-host, okay? A man of a strong mind and brain, okay? No, C.J. says CPAP is a game changer. He says it hasn't helped his brain power, but he does wake up feeling well rested. And then C.J. goes on to say, hang on a second here. Hey, I should have remembered this myself. One of our good sponsors here that bring people local radio is Sorrel Home Medical. A lot of people get their CPAPs there, obviously. But CJ's noted that. Says the fine folks at our sponsor, Sorrel Home Medical, hooked CJ up with his equipment, the training, and the supplies. So, folks, if they can handle CJ, they can take care of you. There you go.
Their new logo, their new slogan, I should say, not logo. Slogan.
If they can keep that horse in the corral, and then this is somebody that's watching. Yeah, it says Doug, you're looking sharp in your blue polo shirt.
Because the coffee.
It's the coffee, right,
It's the
Doctor? It's the coffee. Okay, you all mentioned. Folks, I believe it was Mary Beth mentioned that a lot of people will show up at your office with the tingling and what have you in their legs or arms, and the thing called restless leg syndrome. Talk about that, Doctor. What is that? What causes it? And what can we do with that?
Well, restless leg is a very common condition. It's not life-threatening by any means, but can be very annoying and interrupting, the sleep cycle. Usually happen when the patient is ready to go to sleep or when the patient is not moving a lot, like sitting or driving or going, to drive to any places, as a passenger. They have this urge to move the legs, then that also make them very anxious, interrupt the sleep because, lead to insomnia, and it's very easy to treat. One of the most common conditions is anemia, and then that's why it's so prevalent during pregnancy when patients, tend to be a little bit, anemic, low in iron level, then that is usually the first step of treatment to check, if the level of something called ferritin, which is a transporter for iron, is within normal limits, then if that doesn't help the patient, then we usually move to medication, but we try to avoid them as much as we can. But the important message there is one of the typical conditions that can trigger insomnia. Yeah. Then instead of to treat the patient insomnia with pills, we have to go back to see what is the reason behind that. And if we find out that restless leg is very prominent, then we try to, take care of that, with minimal intervention. Then there are primary and secondary restless leg. There are, kids with restless leg, and then parents tend to call that growing pains, then because the pain is usually localized in the legs and they feel like, it's because the kid is growing, but it's really, also related to iron deficiency anemia. Then, that restless leg that is secondary to nerve damage. Then people with low back issues, then what we call radiculopathy or a pinched nerve in the lower back or nerve damage, like a patient with diabetes, for example. They can have a combination of nerve damage and neuropathy in addition to restless leg.
Yeah.
And then finally, there are some people with, restless leg runs in families, then it's a genetic component for it.
Yeah. I was just, as you're talking, I used to talk to people 12 at a time a lot, okay? And a lot of times, especially in my practice, before I was Commonwealth's attorney, I would have a physician as an expert witness, not unusual at all. And to orient people to the different medical specialties, I said the orthopedists were the carpenters, the internists and, doctors of that nature, the plumbers. And I always said that the neurologists and people in your field were the electricians. And this thing in our head is a bioelectric thing, is what I call it. And, I mean, with all due respect to you and everybody in your profession, we have a most difficult time, and there's so many more unanswered questions yet in that field than any other, just due to the nature of what it is. Like I say, this is a great computer we have in our skull, and but it's made out of living tissue. There's nothing, no chips or anything in there. The science is progressing, but there's there has to be some degree of frustration sometimes, doctor, because, I mean, we don't have all the answers in any field, I guess, of medicine, but there's a lot of them in neurology that, you got a hard job.
Actually, I don't think there is frustration. Every day I'm amazed about what the brain can do, and how many things we can, do now compared to when I trained, like 40 years ago. The neurology was just a diagnostician, meaning, you were able to maybe make the diagnosis of the condition, but very few choices for treatment. And now it's completely different. Then, in a way, we're the electrician. Mary Beth is my main electrician.
She'll plug it in
to check all the wires, right? And then, but we are also, like a computer science person, because I mean, the brain, if you look at it, is the only organ that you cannot see, right? You can see the heart, you can see the lung, you can see the kidneys, you can see the stomach. The brain is like hiding from you, right? And that's what, some people may perceive that as a frustration, because when you don't see something, you get frustrated, right? Then when you see something, kind of ease your mind, and you may be able to get to know that thing, right? But the computer is amazing, and then you have a path, a highway, which is the spinal cord.
Spinal cord.
And then you have the tiny roads, that goes out of the spinal cord, that are what the electrician tests. Then the nerve endings, right? And then you have the nerve ending that attach to the muscle that make you move, and so on. And also have a portion that make you have sensation. That's it. That's neurology.
It's like an electrical grid.
Right, with a computer, a computer, an electrical grid, a main pathway, and tiny roads around. That's it. That's what neurology is.
But as hard as it is, she didn't use my word. It's not a frustration to her. It's a curiosity, and that's a good thing. As long as we keep them curious, they'll keep fixing us and keeping us healthy. We'll be back with them and you right after this.
Recovering from the trauma of a car accident is stressful enough. Finding a good repair shop shouldn't make it worse. Cockrell's Auto Center on US 27 South has been at the same location since July 1981. And with 10 technicians, you will get your repair work done right the first time in a timely manner. So take the anxiety of repair off your shoulders and allow Cockrell's Auto Center certified technicians to return your vehicle to its original condition. Cockrell's Auto Center, locally owned and operated since 1981.
On the basketball court, you have to know where the lines are. It's just as important to know where the lines are in your own yard. Kentucky law generally requires you to have underground utility lines located before most excavation work, even if it's on your own property. If you don't call 811 and you damage a natural gas line, the Kentucky Public Service Commission will investigate you, and you may be fined up to $1,250. Much better to stay within the bounds of the law and call before you dig to start putting in that backboard or goalpost. For more information, visit psc.ky.gov. This message brought to you by the Kentucky Public Service Commission.
Come and listen to my story about the boys named Clough. They grew up fast, they grew up tough. Then one day Harm said to his heirs, it's time to take over the little store at Lair. Ewald's Grocery, that is. Carhartt coats, pocket tees. Well, the next thing you know, there's clothes everywhere. The kinfolk said, sell boots, we'll buy a pair. Ewald's for all the family, 'cause they loaded up the store with everything you need. Clothing, that is. Carhartt, Mossy Oak. For the best selection of Carhartt clothes, there is no doubt. It's Ewald's Grocery on 27 South, just past the fairground at the bottom of the hill. Tell them I sent you and get a good deal. Well, now it's time to say goodbye to the boys out at Lair. They'd like to thank you folks for kindly shopping there. You're all invited back at any time you know, just to hear them say, have a good one, bro. Ewald's. Set a spell. Try some boots on. Y'all come back now, you hear?
Ewald's Grocery at Lair Station has the biggest names in footwear. Carhartt, Georgia, Muck, Timberland, John Deere, and Irish Setter.
If you have a comment or a suggestion for an upcoming coffee break program, call 234-1400 or send us a message at the coffee break page on our website at WCYN.com.
As I always say, the show goes far too fast when you have medical professionals on from Harrison Memorial, and that's the case today. But we'll be Dr. Maria Pavez, nurse practitioner Erica Ezel, and the office coordinator, the right, left, and middle hand, Mary Beth Hopkins is with us. I want to mention this real quick. We had our Summer of Winning Daily Winner today from Printed Vinyl for You. You too can be a winner, ladies and gentlemen. Just go see him, talk to him, and before you leave, put your name and contact information on a little piece of paper, drop it in the box at not only Printed Vinyl for You, but Snappy Tomato Pizza at our Cynthiana Hardy's. Good morning to everyone out there. They listen to us out there, Doctor. And at Ewald's Grocery. Now, you talk about strong minds and brains, you'll find them there, Doctor. Yes. They should be studied at Ewald's Grocery. Tropical Ice, thank them for their sponsorship. Smith's Florist and Greenhouse, and I'm talking about a greenhouse, folks, over in Paris. And I've learned, Doctor, the Mexican volcano in the cornfield that we named the restaurant after here, you know this, but a lot of us call it El Paracutin, but they tell me it's El Pericoton. What is it, Doctor? Do you...
How do you spell?
El Pericoton. Anyway, we're efforting on that. The right hand is helping the doctor.
El Pericatán.
Thank you. Then they were right. El Pericoton. I can't roll that R. Why can't half of us in the United States roll an R, Doctor? That's a brain thing, isn't
Well,
it?
I'm trying to imitate that, but it's very difficult for me to do it unless I have a candy on my mouth, and I think my English is, improved with a candy in my mouth. You may try that for Spanish.
So we've ruined you can't do it. That's it. It's harder to do in English than it is in Spanish. Is that it, to roll an R?
I think so.
Thank you. That helps me because I thought there was something wrong with
my
me.
kids are bilingual, but they have a problem with that R. They
Really?
they cannot really. That's the only thing that you catch up with on them. That they're not from South America.
The Spanish people, they just roll that R like nothing. But we choke trying to do that. Okay, let me see. And by the way, I will mention, talking about sleep health and sleep care, and our Harrison Memorial Hospital is an accredited sleep care. Well, it is accredited by the Accreditation Commission.
That's right.
So you've been measured and tested and got the paperwork, right?
Every 2 years, and then that for the sleep center, and I have to pass board examinations every 10 years, and a lot of other exams every few months.
They find out something new every day.
Right.
Most physicians, you start out most of your days looking at something, at journals or something on a computer just to keep up, don't you? You have to.
You have to, because the technology and pharmacology, everything that has to do with medicine and science in general, is advancing really, really fast.
Now, there's two subjects I want to get to, and I'm going to do it in 6 minutes, okay? First of all, and I might ask Erica and Mary Beth to help a little bit with this, but we have, the sleep test, okay? Do we have to be referred by the doctor for that, or how do we get that done? Erica, you want to talk about that? Tell us what that involves. If Dr. Pervez or somebody else says you need to go up to the hospital and let them test your sleeping, what are they going to do to me?
So any of the family doctors or any physician can order the sleep studies.
Sleep study, yeah.
So it doesn't have to be us, but if they don't want to fool with it, they can just refer over to us and we can take care of it. But it's just as easy as ordering an EKG.
Yeah. And as far as what happens to, we patients always, does this hurt? Is the question. That's the first question. This doesn't hurt a thing, right? Basically, we go up there and sleep at night, right?
So they can do in-lab sleep studies, but more often we do home sleep studies.
Oh, really?
Where we just ship a device to you and they explain how to use it, and you use it for 2 nights. The in-lab sleep studies is 1 night. You go in between 7 and 8, and then usually get out between 6 and 7 in the morning.
So the gadget will measure. The gadget will measure our sleep patterns, much like a telemetry or something. Does that get shot back to you at the hospital, or do we have to bring it in and download it, or how's it?
So if you do the home sleep study, you send it back to the company, and they send the sleep results to Dr. Pervez, and she interprets them. And then in the hospital, it's just done electronically, sent over.
And you can see the pattern of our sleep throughout the night with that, doctor.
That's right. I would like to say that there are different types of equipment, from the most complicated one that is done under supervision with a technician, a human looking after the patient at the hospital. That is probably 10% of the patient that we tend to see. And then I will say that the bulk of the patient that we tend to see in the sleep center these days is, based on home sleep studies that are not perfect, but they're very good for people with high risk for sleep apnea. And we try to have the sleep test under supervision, basically dedicated for patients that are at high risk.
Yeah.
Someone with a recent heart attack or a stroke or a seizure, or someone who cannot manage, the home sleep test. But the home sleep test, has been, a blessing for the sleep community and the patients, because then make the test very easy for the patient, make the diagnosis process very easy for the doctor, and then very low cost compared to the sleep under supervision at the sleep center.
And we've been talking a lot about sleep and problems with sleep that you address, doctor, in your office. But we were talking about the discipline of neurology. It's vast. I mean, there's a lot of things, and I'll just mention you deal with folks that are suffering with bad headaches and migraines, neuropathy, carpal tunnel syndrome, where the tunnels in our wrist get too narrow for the nerve to go through. Right? Epilepsy, seizures, dizziness, vertigo, multiple sclerosis falls within your care category. Parkinson's, as we talked, Bell's palsy, Alzheimer's. I mean, it's our brain deals with about everything that's wrong with it.
It's basically what we talked before. It's anything that affects the computer, the highway, the electrical wires, and the final destination, which is the muscle. We deal with all of that. And sleep is a complement. For neurology, I think that the sleep makes us better neurologists. And in general, if you pay attention to sleep, that makes you a better doctor.
Yeah, you hear of physicians that say, well, we can't fix this or that in this individual or this patient because the nerve is dead. And obviously we've not come up with the science or ability to, I don't guess, transplant or make nerve tissue yet. That's something that, is that something they're working on? I mean,
it is happening, yes.
It is?
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. Mm-hmm.
They're
that really is
creating,
something.
New cells of any sort, with what we call a mother cell. And I may be able to see that on my lifespan. I don't know.
I hope you do. Yeah.
But it's amazing. After the pandemic, the technology that has been growing up like exponentially compared to the previous 10, 20 years.
That is science fiction. If we can make nerve tissue or replace it with something that works, that's science fiction. Really.
We're implanting, some stimulators in the brain, that can stop seizures. We can, implant stimulations in the brain that can help people to talk after a stroke. We can implant, implants in the inner ear, for people to hear well. On kids who happen to be born, deaf, they can implant that, and the kids can be actually, able to, hear, and it's amazing. The technology during the last, I will say, 5 years has been amazing.
Technology and medicine have to be on the same track. All right, now I always ask one crazy question of you doctors, okay? And this, you mentioned some of these crazy documentaries on TV, okay? And I don't know, I think there may be something to this. But there's a school of thought out there that this great computer we have in our head, okay? God's greatest machine in many ways, that we don't use it all. That there's things we're capable of, like telepathy and all this kind of stuff and everything. Do we use all of our brain, or are there parts of our brain that we used to use that we don't anymore? You know what I'm getting at, doctor? That's all right. That talk. Is there anything to all that stuff?
I think so.
Oh, really? I'm glad to hear that.
And there's several experiments, then the most well-known one is one that was done in Stanford, which is a really excellent place for research, where they put, a telepath. We don't tend to take them seriously, but they put telepath, to in front of, quantum molecules, isolated, like a tiny, tiny, tiny molecule that is completely isolated of any sort of interference or magnetic field. And then this, normally they have random movements, and these telepath people were able to put those, tiny, tiny piece of atoms, on a straight line or to the right or to the left. That was very amazing. And that was under, the most rigid, research program that you can imagine.
Yeah.
Then I don't think that we know the full potential of the brain. Then I think that we have to take care of the computer. We don't really know, how much potential we have. And we tend to see that many times with our patients. That surprises all the time. Then patients with a stroke that were left with paralysis in one side, unable to talk, and then the prognosis was apparently not good. And then a year later, that patient is walking and talking, not because they make more cells, they make more connections with the cells, right? And then they were able to compensate the deficit after stroke. Not for everyone, of course, and depends on the lesion, that was, affecting the brain to start with. But I mean, it's amazing what the brain can do.
Boy, I hate to stop you, but they're playing the bumper music. Molly, bring her back early and often.
I will try. Yeah.
Doctor, thank you, really.
You can make an appointment, 235-3629.
See her yourself, folks.
Yes.
Ask her your own questions. Thank you so much, Doctor.
If I may, I would like to thank our patient, the 2 patients that called. Then we really appreciate that. They don't have any idea how much that means to us when we hear those words of, that we were able to help someone in some way.
Yeah, say thank you to a doctor every now and then. Thank you, doctor. Thank you, Erica Ezel. Thank you, Mary Beth Hopkins. And, Molly reads my mind. Yes. She's got that
Molly is a telepath.
She's telekinetic, too. Move this coffee cup over closer to me.
I'll work on it.
And the rest of you, keep living with us on the air. And Cynthia.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. And thank you to our listeners for spending your morning here with us on Coffee Break.
Since 1956, your local hometown station and the home of the Breads and Phillies.